We're here with Javelina head football coach Bo Atterberry. Coach, signing day. Right now it's about 4:45. 32 kids have sent their papers in so far. I think since I've been here, that seems to be about the most we've had on a signing day. So I guess just talk a little bit about all the action that's been going on and the hard work you guys have been putting in the off season.
Well, it's been an exciting day, and I've got to thank the assistant coaches for all the work they've done and getting these guys set up on visits, and the administrative staff and the paperwork and all those types of things that go along leading up to signing day. It's been really fun and a new chapter in these young men's lives, and we're excited to be a part of it. Not only from an athletic standpoint, but for them to continue to pursue their education is the main thing. So a good group of guys that we look forward to working with, and again, thanks to the assistant coaches and you and all the administrative staff, and just being a part of this university.
What kind of positions were you looking at? What was your key points, the spots you were looking to fill?
We were looking from a high school standpoint. We wanted to address pretty much every position, and if you look, you'll see that there's an emphasis on the offensive line and D-lines, and then the defensive backfield as well. We've got a lot of good players. Hard to tell how they will transition from high school to college, but should create a lot of competition at every spot, which is the main thing for us to do. So we try to get the best out of everyone.
And I think we hosted a couple of playoff games where we saw some of the guys you signed. The name that comes off the top of my head, Isaiah Carter. I know played at at San Antonio Madison. We saw him here. Was that one of the? Does it help to have playoff games here in Javelina Stadium where you can get a closer look at the players? They can see what Javelina Stadium's like on a game day.
I think so. In recruiting, Isaiah was, every time I would say something about the game day atmosphere at Javelina Stadium, of course he agreed, and then some, and he was able to talk to some of those other recruits, so I think that did help. And of course he played in Javelina Stadium, and in my mind he stood out just a little bit as far as from a playing standpoint, so we were excited to get him.
It seemed like this year you guys got more players from San Antonio as opposed to Houston, where I think the last few years you've probably drawn more from the Houston area. Is it just one of those things that kind of happens from year to year?
I'm not so sure. We didn't look at the same amount from each area. Last year, this year, even the year before, it just boiled down to what we saw our needs as, and which, I guess the San Antonio guys may have fit those needs a little bit better this year than they did last year. But some good players from Houston, San Antonio, locally. Hopefully they transition well and can help us out.
Do you? I know this is early, but do you expect any of these guys to be playing this year for you? I know the last few years you haven't had to play many true freshmen.
Yeah, I can see it happening. Of course, the main thing for me is to have the ability to make that decision and not have to force it upon somebody. So if they can come in here and they're the best, regardless of age, where they're from, they're going to play. Doesn't matter to us. I can see it happening. But it's hard to tell with so little time before the first game when you get into camp and those type of things. A lot of times it's not so much a physical thing as it is a mental thing. So we'll see.
Now, looking back at last year's class, a lot of them redshirted. Coming back this year, who are some of the guys that you can look at now and think they're probably going to be ready to play now heading into this fall?
It's hard to say. A lot of them this spring will tell a lot. If I had to think of somebody, Andrew Show's just from down the road in Cal Allen, looks like he can contribute pretty quick. Right off the top of my head, I think all those guys need to make sure they're in position to be competing. Cornelius Richardson, linebacker, looked really good, and then they all look good in the fall.
Right.
This spring, once they get in and get to do a little bit more versus maybe some of the older guys, will be a true test of where they're at.
And real quick before we end, what's kind of the spring schedule for you guys? When do you start practice? When's your spring games happening?
We're going to start February 14th, and then March 8th will be the spring game that evening, that Thursday evening, right before we go to spring break. A good chance, like you said, for those younger guys to kind of find out. We practiced, there was several guys that showed up in practice from that freshman class that I'm excited to see get out there and see what happens.
All right, Coach, thanks.
Thank you.